Now that we've got the translatability working for us in both directions, we know that developers spend their days in tools. So let's talk about what we get out of VJET from a tooling perspective now that we've got all these great equivalences and translatability working in both directions. If you look at modern IDEs and you see what they basically do, the more that you can explain from a language perspective to the IDE, this is the person that writes the IDE, the better they can basically help you. So if you think about JavaScript, who inherently was starting off with not necessarily well structured, not necessarily being able to have all the rest of these semantic goodies for it, like being able to do interfaces and being able to do access control and packages and all the typing. If you think about it, modern IDEs do a great job with languages like Java, for instance, because it has an enormous amount of information about what you're writing. So everything from being able to do type proposals and type completions, being able to enforce the access control so you're not talking to private members when you shouldn't, enforce your packaging so that you can only see what is in your package or not, depending on how you declare things, enforcing that your methods are taking the right number of arguments, the right type of arguments, returning the right type of thing. These are all things that you take for granted in a language like Java, but you just don't have in JavaScript. Now all of a sudden we can start implying all these capabilities that tools bring to the table and start doing it for JavaScript as well. So if you take the authoring part of the equation into it, it means that not only can we like do wizards for creating classes and creating packages and creating interfaces and creating enums and stuff, but we can also do type proposals. If you're referencing a type somewhere else, we know all the members on it. We know what you have access control to. So you get good type completion and type proposals as you basically are going. We know as you build up your code base and it gets bigger over time, there's code out there that you haven't changed in a long time, but you change code that it depends on. That stuff's got to break. You got to see red X's showing up. It has to be easy. It has to be fully integrated into the tool environment so that you can click on the red X, see what's gone wrong, change it, and then you want to immediately see the result show up again. So now, with all the extra typing and everything we brought into the JavaScript world, and we integrated into the tooling. So we picked VJET based on Eclipse. eBay's been using Eclipse for a long time, and we've written a lot of custom tools and plugins for it. So what we've done is said, yeah, let's do the same thing for JavaScript, like basically went on for Java. So everything that you want to get from things like call chains and look at a stack trace and so forth are there. But now we move past authoring. We're kind of talking a little bit more about running and then probably debugging. And then we're really talking about the development model at the end of the day. And when you talk about the development model, we want to stick with our theme, which is seamless. You write in Java, you write in JavaScript. JavaScript can call Java, Java can call JavaScript. Let's talk about how we can run it. So one of the things that, you take for granted, right? There's no standard entry point into JavaScript. It's interpretive. It's code that's out there. The order that you wrote is the order that it executes. I mean, that's kind of cool, but when you start talking about structured programming and you want to have a defined entry point, it's hard to beat something like a Java main. So we introduced those concepts. So the notion of a Java main exists in our JavaScript, our VJO. So now with a standard entry point, you can start writing your JavaScript like you write your Java. You have a standard main. You'll have a launch dialog, which will basically prompt you. You can pass arguments to it, and that's a great way to be able to run your JavaScript. So we run the JavaScript in Rhino. We basically integrate stuff into the console, so you can do like your system print outline, you can do your console output, and you get a standard entry point. So now all of a sudden you can start running through things. And it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, you can really test out your JavaScript pretty good. But you're sitting down there going like, well, what if you're running it, but you actually want to debug it? Well, we take the next step too. So if we can actually run it and we have a standard entry point, why can't we do a debugger for it? Well, the answer is, of course, we can do a debugger for it. Why? Well, guess what? We have all this type information. We have all these structured types. And again, the more you can tell the IDE and help the IDE out, the more it can basically help you. And the same thing goes for debugging. We can go and debug through all of our VJO code. We can set breakpoints in it. You can see the stack traces that are in it. You can change the dynamic variables. You can see the call chains that are going on. And that's pretty cool. And now all of a sudden, the same IDE, JavaScript and a Java developer are sitting there, similar concepts, similar ideas, similar abstractions, similar flow, similar development, similar debugging. Sounds similar? Yeah, it is similar. It's because we really want to say these aren't different environments. These are very highly interoperative environments. But that leaves the door open now to talk a little bit about how the Java and JavaScript should interact with each other. Not just translate, but how should they interact. And now that we've got the tooling part working and we can run and debug, it would be pretty cool if we took the next step. which just said Java calling JavaScript, JavaScript calling Java. Get that all done in a single session, single debugger, all seeing the results running in a browser. And that's one of the cool things that VJET does do, is it brings all of those three elements together. And that's what makes it really work.